Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. I'm Katie and today we have a very special video. I was approached by grabie.cc, which is an online store, to try one of their items from their shop and give it a little review. And out of the selection, I happened to notice some HIMI watercolours. They very kindly sent this across to me for free, and I get to try it and share it with you guys. As soon as I'd made my selection, it was with me within a week and it was very well packaged, which meant I got to have some fun. Now I'm going to throw a disclaimer out there. I'm pretty sure these are children's paints, but I noticed the name HIMI and because I enjoy the gouache so much, I thought I'd give these a try. I've also got a 15% off code which will be shown at the end of the video, but it's also going to be in the description down below, and I imagine that is site-wide as well, so it's there for you to enjoy. Right, let's talk about these paints a little bit more. So it comes in a very nice, impressive circular palette, and there are 38 watercolour cakes in there. Apart from that red in the bottom left corner there, they all pretty much activated straight away, and upon swatching they were very lovely and vibrant. They are quite opaque and a little bit grainy, which isn't a bad thing. You can get some nice granulating effects there, as you can see on screen right now. And they do remind me a little bit of how the gouache works. If you add a thick layer, especially of the deeper colours, you're going to get a more vibrant line. I'd say my favourite colour on here would have to be that neon pink. There is just something quite delicious about that. But as well, the blues are quite nice. There's a good selection of greens, but it was very heavily dominated by warm reds and yellows and oranges. But that's not a bad thing. The lid of the palette as well also serves as a mixing tray, and as well there's also a little well in the centre of the palette, and we also get a HIMI brush. How cool is that? Now this would not be any kind of HIMI video if I was not painting a dragon, and with us coming up to spooky season, our dragon friend is a little bit ghostly. I'm using a hot press paper here because I wanted a smooth background. I didn't want to overly take advantage of the granulating properties of these paints, and as well I actually just prefer working on hot press for these dragons, at least anyway. The initial laydown of that blue went down very nice. Yes, they are children's paints, they're not going to go down perfectly, but for children's paints they did quite well. I used mainly blues for this painting because, again, it's a night sky, it's all spooky, so it was good to have a nice selection of different coloured blues and purples in there as well to work with. The paintbrush as well was actually quite a decent quality. I'm sometimes a little bit sceptical of paintbrushes that I've provided in some of the art sets that I've tried, but this was very nice. It held quite a nice point and it also held a decent amount of paint. I hadn't actually seen these watercolours before, so again, I know they're probably for children, but I was really curious about what they'd be like to paint with, and I must admit, even though some of the areas are not pristinely covered, it was actually quite fun to paint with. Which was quite reminiscent actually of the gouache that I've used. I must admit I've always enjoyed using the HIMI gouache. I find that quite fun to work with, and I know that's not supposed to be artist quality, it's student quality as well, so it is more on that budget end of the spectrum there. I also took this as an opportunity to perhaps try out something for occasions where your paint might not go on massively evenly and it is a sort of grainy based paint like this one is, and I used a blending stump to remove some of the excess paint, and I did find actually that it evened it out. So if you have encountered paints like these before and you've been a little bit stuck as to what to do, try using a blending stump on them. It will reduce colour bleed as well when you go over it in other layers, and it'll just create a bit more of an even surface there. Continuing on, using that lovely selection of blues, I added the cooler blue for the clouds in the background and left some of the areas around it white just to show a little bit of tonal difference there. I know this set came with a white paint, but to be honest, I don't really use the white very often in paint sets. It's just not something I do. I tend to rely on the white of the paper to do all of the main work for me. Although I do use a couple of dots of white a little later on in this video, just to add a little bit of glimmer in this dragon's eyes. Once the colours were blocked out, it was time to start adding those outlines in there, and rather than using the black paint, which I tend not to do anyway, I went in there with the purple because I just thought that would be perfect. And I also like how it is making our ghostly dragon here pop out a little bit more too. I found this paint more than adequate to add the line work as well. I had no difficulties, there was no clogging of the brush or anything like that. It was quite a smooth procedure, and yes, admittedly I did have to use a finer brush for this, but I would have done anyway. So you lovely lot, have you heard or even tried the HIMI watercolours before? Let me know down below, let me know what you thought of them. Me personally, they're not going to be my go-to set, but I'll be honest, they were quite fun to paint with. I think I'll probably use them in sketchbooks, just for, you know, throwing ideas around and just getting some colours on the page. With there being 38 colours to pick from and they're all in one place, it's kind of handy. I can just sit there casually, with a nice cup of tea with my sketch pad and think, oh, this little bit I've drawn here needs a bit of colour. And I would be more than happy to use these for sketchbook work and just experimenting. It was time to layer some colours up here, so I'd used a light purple for the chains and then went back over it again in a darker purple to add a little bit of tone and depth there, and it was perfectly fine. Again, you're going to have a bit of texture there, but that is the nature of these paints. In fact, they remind me a little bit of the Koh-i-Noor ones I tried last year, and they were in a little stack. They were very similar to paint with, I thought. And again, similar purpose for me. It's just great for a sketch pad, and if you just want to chuck some colour down, not have to mix anything up, you've got a good variety of colours there. As you can see, things laid up a little bit better on the areas where I'd used the blending stump to remove any excess and obviously push it into the paper more. And I'm quite happy with how this turned out. I actually quite like the fact that these paints have made this look a little bit more whimsical. Of course, yellow was added for the stars, I used a bit of grey for the moon, and we are all done. I just want to say a massive thank you to grabie.cc for sending these out to me for free and being able to give me an opportunity to try these unique paints. I'll leave links down below to the shop as well as this item, and here is a lovely discount code for you to try as well. If you've enjoyed this video, be sure to check out the other ones on your screen right now. I think you're going to enjoy them. In the meantime, thanks for watching, and I'll see you lovely lot soon. Bye!